Hi folks, the layout has now been moved down from the roof space and I've now reassembled it with a slightly revised track plan. The previous track plan had a second radius curve round here which caused derailments, so I've taken the opportunity to remove this feature and to replace it with a second station which you can see here. The idea of this layout is to represent a contemporary country station and reserved line station on the same layout baseboard. One of the difficulties with layouts is to devise a scenario which will explain the variety of engines and rolling stock to be seen. The advantage of a preserved station is absolutely any loco can be displayed without it being in the wrong region or time period. Moving first to the contemporary station, this is a Scaledale item based on William Tress's Italian-style Rye station in East Sussex. A difficulty with a baseboard the size of a TrakMat is to devise a track plan that will allow a train with 4 coaches or a train with 3 coaches and a loco to get into the station. On this layout, I wanted to feature Bachmann and Hornby 4-car electrical multiple units. The only way it is possible to have a station that can accept these trains is to have the station along a diagonal inside the traditional oval of track. Hornby and Pico used not to supply a 4th radius curve, but now a 4th radius curve is available, and you can see here where the lines come in. On the left hand side is the 4th radius curve, and on the right hand side is the 3rd radius curve. This 4th radius curve leading into the station gives that extra tiny fraction of space that allows us to get a 4-car set into the station. Now moving to the preserved line station, this is necessarily smaller than the contemporary station depicted on the other side of the board. We have used Scaledale platform sections and Great Waterton Station from the now discontinued Thomas range. We have used a Y point to create this junction. This is slightly better visually, but tends to cause more derailments than a standard right or left hand point. Now moving to the level crossing, Trying used to make a curved level crossing, but there isn't one in the current Hornby range, so we have had to use the Pico one. However, this curved level crossing, like the old trying one, is available with a 3rd and 4th radius curve. Putting the level crossing at the end of the layout board like this provides an explanation for the entrance to the station being where it is, without taking any space away for a point. Now moving to the other level crossing on the layout, which is the standard Hornby one. I have somehow lost the traditional crossing gates in the roof space, but I had stored the level crossing barriers and lights safely. On this Hornby item, the holes for the barriers and lights are placed too close to the track, so I had to resite these items to the baseboard. If you fit the barriers to the holes provided, there is insufficient clearance for rolling stock if the next track section is a curve. This item must be fitted between sections of straight track to avoid the possibility of contact with passing trains. The drawback of using the straight level crossing as against the curved one is that it prevents you from fitting a point at this location. Any point must be fitted further down the tracks, which limits how long the siding can be. A limitation of this design is a restricted space inside station approach for buildings. We only have room for 3 items. On the right is the butcher's shop from the Thomas range, rebranded as a newsagent. On the left is the Stationmaster's house from the Classics Pocket Bond range. And the middle item is just a standard Hornby Scaledale item. Now, here is a piece of plywood, 4mm plywood that I have used. And this here is an offcut of the piece of foam core board that I have used. Now if you see, you put the foam core board on top of the plywood and the track on top of that. You can see, if you hold it, look at it sideways, you can see there is sufficient thickness here for when the track screws go through the foam core and the into the baseboard, that it actually makes quite a thick and sturdy baseboard without actually adding a great deal of weight to the layout. Now these here are the ordinary Hornby track pins, which I have not used. Instead, I have used these things here, which are not pins, but they are screws, and you can see I'm unscrewing this screw. You can see here that if you look closely, that is, you can see that it is in fact a screw and not a pin. Now you just put them into the hole just as you would at a track pin. And you need a special screwdriver. The man who supplies these screws also supplies a screwdriver. So screw this back in. You can see when the screw is screwed, you can hardly notice that it is there. A useful item to have in the layout room is a magnet. You just pick up these track pins with it. I used double-sided carpet binder tape to secure the foam core board to the baseboard. It is important not to attach the foam core. It is important not to attach the foam core to the baseboard in a way that makes it impossible to remove. I would avoid using impact adhesive unless the layout has to be absolutely permanent. Foam core has the advantage of making it easy to plant trees. Just make it a small hole and apply some hot glue and push the tree in. Fences attached to foam core board are held extremely securely. This fence is attached to the foam core board but using a hot glue gun. You can see you can knock it about as much as you like. It is extremely secure. So if you're making a layout for children to play with, attaching the fences into the foam core makes a very secure fixing. These men here are railway permanent way workers provided by Bachmann, the Bachmann Scenicraft items. What I've done here is that this is a wheels kit, but it comes with quite a large base, and I've just simply put the figures on the base here like this. These are also attached to the base using a hot glue gun, which is quite an effective and quick method. Round here, this here is the items from the TrakMat accessories. I just stuck that to there. I didn't really know what else to do with it. An item I've recently acquired is the DCC Concepts ADS 2XX full feature DCC solenoid decoder. This I've just attached to the PL11 Hornby Pico. It's a 3-wire connection. There's the left solenoid, the right solenoid, and the common, which is in the middle. These just attach to these wires here. This ADS 2SX does only control 2 points. You can get a version of this which will control 8 points, but I've decided just to try 2 points initially to see how I get on with it. Something else you can see under here is this Western Master set, which comes with E-Link, and I did the unboxing of this the other day, but I'm intending to connect the E-Link to this layout and then use the E-Link to control these points using this decoder. But so far I've only got as far as connecting it up. I haven't experimented with it. An interesting thing about this though is that it connects here to your DCC track, so you don't need a separate transformer. This input here just goes into a rectifier, so the fact that it's a DCC signal doesn't really matter. And when you fire a point A, it takes a few milliseconds for the inside here there's a capacitor, which you can see the capacitors there. There's one capacitor for each point motor, and it just takes a few milliseconds to recharge. So the fact that you've only got an E-link with a 1 amp power supply doesn't really matter. Here we have got an engine shed, which is from the now discontinued Thomas the Tank range. An advantage of this shed, it's got quite a big roof on it, which you can quite easily pick up, move out of the way. And what I've done here is I have put a Hornby re-railing track, and then what I can do is I can put a ramp here like this, and that in this way I can just introduce a rolling stock to the layout like this. And also this ramp has the advantage of disconnecting it's a re-railer and disconnecting the couplings will be disconnected by this uncoupling ramp. So that's quite a good idea if you want to try it. There we are. That's the end of this video. The next video is going to be about connecting up the E-link and getting it to work, so I hope you'll enjoy that when I get round to uploading it. Bye folks!